Good morning everyone, it is 11 AM on Saturday the 13th of January. In today's segment I'll be going through animations and physics. I'm Luke Knott and this is Blended with Luke. So in today's segment, as I just said, we are going to be going through physics and animations, including things like the graph editor. And for those who have subscribed to us on our website, we'll be showing you how to create a waving flag in the wind. So, before we get started, for those who have watched our last segment, we went through all the basic navigation through how to move an object and things like that, how to make a quick render and things like that. And now that you understand how to move your objects around to make a scene and render, we are now going to be showing you how to animate your objects, how to edit your objects as well, and basically create some interesting animations with physics and other stuff. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our renderer, which says Blender Render, and we're going to change that to Cycles Render. It is completely up to you which ones you want to go on. I go on Cycles Render because it's something that I'm more familiar with. I use it a lot more nowadays, and I don't use Blender Render much anymore unless I'm doing some test renders, which I actually did do before I started this segment today. I made a quick video on the cloth effects or cloth physics on top of a box, and I will be showing you that when we get to the actual cloth physics section. So to begin with, we're going to start with our first part, which is the edit mode. What edit mode is, it allows you to change your objects that you have in your scene. For example, we've got this cube here. If instead of using like the scale tool to like change the size of this cube or anything like that, we can go into edit mode and change it that way. But at the same time, what you can do with edit mode is it allows you to create or shape your object. This is how you get things like tanks, cars, helicopters, characters, weapons, props for your scenes like flower pots and other things. This is what you can do with edit mode. Edit mode allows you to create the object that you want to make. Now there are two ways to get into your edit mode here. We can go down to our section here where it says object mode, and we can just left click on that, and then as you can see, we actually have a variety of different things we got. You have texture paint, which allows you to paint a texture onto your object. You got your weight paint, which allows you to paint certain weights to an object. For example, it determines certain points of where what part of the object is heavier than other parts, which can come in handy if you're making something like a lamp. If you got like a lamp, then all the slim part of your lamp is going to be lighter than the base of your lamp because of the mass that is present in it. You have your Vertex paint, which I don't really use much. So I can't get into in depth on how that works. We got our sculpt mode, which allows you to sculpt a model, which is more suitable for if you're creating things like stone or a character's skin. It's like if you want to add in like scars to the face or anything like that, or any other part of the body, you can sculpt your character into, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a human character. Sculpt tools have also been used to create aliens, dragons, and other kind of characters, including dinosaurs. So you can use the sculpt mode for virtually anything that you put your mind to. But the one we're looking at here is your edit mode. So if we click on here, we are in our edit mode, and as you can see, our entire cube is now highlighted. This happens when you first start a new scene in Blender anyway, so don't worry if it's all selected. But as you can see, with it all selected, Yeah, with it all selected, you can basically move the entire cube when it's all selected. Or you can select certain parts of the cube. For example, we're gonna go down to this section here, where you got your translation, rotation, and scale. We've got our different points that we can edit on your object. You have your vertex select, which allows you to select your vertexes, like so. You just right click on any of the vertex, which is the corner of your object. Though this can change depending on the kind of things that you are working on. Your vertex is just a point or in the object, which defines a corner point. Doesn't necessarily mean that these are corners. For example, I can actually put a vertex in the middle of this box. It doesn't mean that that middle section is a corner, but it can be used as one if I pull that vertex out. Our next one we got, actually before I go to the next one, I just want to demonstrate exactly what what you can do with a vertex. If I'm going to press the G key and press Y, and that's me to move the object on my Y axis. And as you can see, you get this weird shape. It looks like that because of the way that I have set up. Well, the reason it looks weird is because I needed to link these two, which I will get to either in another video or this video. So let's just press Ctrl Z and just bring it back to normal. We also got our edge select, which allows me to select the edges of an object. So I've got that selected. I can press the G key for translation. I can press the Z key and I can just go down and up. And I can make like a slope. Control Z if you want to go back. And you, of course, you got your face tool. Well, face select, which allows me to select the faces of the object. This is kind of like if you were scaling your object, but instead of having a scale on the axis, you can like drag along each section. You can even rotate these pieces as well if you wish to. Now, let's have a quick cup of tea. Now, your edit tool or your edit mode is very important when it comes to, well, everything. I mean, if you want to build a scene, then you need to use edit tool. Or if you are feeling lazy, you can just go onto these different websites and just download the models that you want. Saves time, but we are not training you to be lazy. We are training you into a skill set that you can use for future work in the media industry, especially the animation industry. Excuse me. But there are things that you can do as well whilst in this mode. There's this thing called extrusion, which allows you to extrude an object. As we got here, you can see over here in the corner here, you got extrude. Good. The shortcut to extrude your objects, however, which is more easy to do than just clicking on here, because sometimes you may not get, you might click on the wrong thing. If I say click on region, it does the region, which is fine, which is what I want. But if you go individual, still the same thing. But it depends on how many faces or objects you got at the same time. So if I just click on this one here and then click on region, it moves both of them out, which I don't want. Or you can do it individually like that, which allows you to move them based in the axis, which is a good thing. So we can select all faces like so. Now if I do extrude region, it will just extrude all those pieces like so, which is not what we want to do. Or you can go to extrude individual, which makes it out like a cross, which is quite good. The hotkey to extrude objects is the E key. So if I press the E key, I can extrude my cube even further. And I just press the left mouse key to finish making it. And you got the right mouse button, which is, as mentioned in the last segment, puts it the section that you have back to its original position. Basically, what we just done is, if you can practice this. I'm going to give you time to practice this, so I'm going to be as slow as possible. But basically, what I did through the extrusion key, or extruding my object, is I made a cross. I'm not religious, by the way. I'm just saying I just made a cross. But yes, when you're in edit mode, you can make basically any object you like. And for me, I made a cross because, you know, it's just something random, I guess. But to extrude your objects, when you're already in your tools, you just got this section here where you got your extrude tool. Extrude region extrudes all of it, and it moves in a certain direction, all of them in the same direction. Whereas if you extrude individual, it allows you to extrude them outwards based on their axis, which is a good thing. You got inset, which I won't be going through during this. You got other things as well, like your knife tool, which I'm going to do a quick demonstration. The knife tool, if I click on the knife tool, as you can see, it brings up this knife. What the knife tool allows me to do is select or snap or anywhere on the edges or vertex, or even on the faces. I can create my very own lines or edges. So I just click that corner there, I can apply it to this corner over here, and as you can see, if I press enter, I now have my edge. I've got an additional edge. That is good for if you are wanting to do things like make certain shapes, or as I showed earlier with the cube, when I moved one of the vertexes, there was a little weird look to it. That's because I didn't have this. But now that I do have that, if I bring that down now, it's much more nicer, and actually suits the actual lines here. Instead if I just did it like that, where you got this weird look to it. So I'm going to demonstrate it again, but this time I'm going to use the hotkey. The hotkey to your knife tool is the K key. So I click on K, left mouse button on that edge or vertex, and I'm going to left click down on this one. I'm going to press enter. Now if I right click on this vertex and move it, as you can see, again, it's a much nicer, and it doesn't look weird. So let's get rid of these lines now. There we go. And press A to deselect your object. To get out of edit mode, you can just simply just go back and click here and click on object mode. But also, you can use the hotkey to enter edit mode by pressing the tab. And I press tab again, and it takes me out. What's the time? It's about almost 11. I want to now go into the animation stuff. So we have a bit of a grasp on how to use the edit mode. E to extrude regions, or if you're in edit mode and you click on a face, you could just go here, individual, and then you can just move your thing. So that's how you enter and exit your edit mode. How to use the edit mode to create shapes that you want to make. Just with a basic cube, you can use it with any other object as you so choose. But we're going to move into animation. Now animation is critical for 3D production. If you're looking to make your own 3D movies, something like WALL-E or Toy Story, animation is key. you need animation in order to do what you want to do. So what I'm going to do first, when it comes to animation, is I am going to add in a cylinder. Again, you can go to your add here, go to your mesh, and then we'll just go into cylinder. Should I make a cylinder or sphere? I'm going to make a sphere. Okay, so we made a sphere. The reason you can't see the sphere is because it's inside my cross. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that up on top. And there we go. And we're going to just drag that over to here. Now to animate your objects, you could go down to here and you can do auto keyframe, but I don't want to do auto keyframe. To do auto keyframes anyways, you can just go down to here, and if you click on that, I'm going to do a demonstration. If I move this cube or sphere, as you can see down the bottom here, I have created a yellow line just by moving that. With auto keyframe, that allows me to set a keyframe from point A to point B. Point B, I'm going to say about 100. And now I'm just going to click on this X arrow and just going to drag it over here. And it has created another keyframe. Now, I'm going to turn the keyframe off for now. Because when I turn that auto keyframe off, if I move the object now, no keyframe comes. Which is good, because you don't want to have that on if you accidentally move the object and then it's just going to keyframe it, and then you know you're going to have to delete it and probably start again because it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. So now if I play back this by clicking on this play button, as you can see, the cube, or the sphere, I keep calling it a cube, I don't know why. The sphere moves from point A to point B. I can also set that back as well if I want to. It won't be accurate, but from 100 to 200, put back my auto key on, and then I'm just going to drag that back to there, and then I'm going to just turn that off. So now we're going to see my sphere go back and forward. So we see it go forward down the cross, and now it's going to go back up the cross. If you have noticed, hold on, before I continue, let me just change my end here to 200. Now that's an interesting thing that you need to keep your eyes on when you're doing animations, is knowing your start and end frames, because depending on the kind of frame that you want to do depends on how many you want, and your frames are based on your seconds, or based on your frame rate. My frame rate is 24 frames per second, which means that if I'm on frame 24, that is 1 second. So we've got 1 second there. We got 2 seconds about here. We have 3 seconds here. 4 seconds. 5 seconds. 6 seconds. And you got 7 seconds. And it continues going up the ladder. If this was on 25 frames per second, 100 would be 4 seconds. That would be whereas 200 frames, oh, will be 8 seconds. Oh, so I had a stretch. But when I added these keyframes, if you have noticed, when I, let's say from 90 to 110, you can see the sphere slow down when it slowed down. Now the reason it slows down is because of the current setup we've got in the graph editor. I've not yet shown what the graph editor can do. But the graph editor can really determine your animations depending on what you want to do. I know we're going to show you the graph editor now. What we're going to do, we're going to leave that as it is. We're just going to click here, left click on that, and you just drag that up. Now the one thing that I have not yet shown anyone here, barring probably when we went and rendered in our last segment, but the only people who saw that render were those who watched it on our website. But if you left click down here, you can go through different things that you can edit in. For example, you got your info. Well, you don't need to add that there because your info is already at the top here. User preferences we can add in, but we don't need to. That allows you to change certain things like what add-ons you got on, how to change your theme and stuff like that. Your outliner we got in the top right corner here. We got properties, which are here. We also got our logic editor. Now logic editor, as the explanation says here, game logic editing. That allows you to set up logic bricks in order to create certain things that can work in your, well, in the Blender game engine. So as an example, if I have the logic editor, if I can set up a certain things like my keyboard to do certain things like make a character move around, make certain objects move based on proximity of an object and other things like that, which is very handy for those who don't know how to how to program in certain things like Java or C++, Python. Although that's where the text editor comes in. The text editor allows you to basically make scripts or edit scripts to your liking. You can get free scripts online, for especially they are more for the Blender game engine to give you certain visual effects and other stuff like that. The node editor is for your materials as well as your composition of your render. So when you have completed a render, you can go to your node editor and you can create a composition to make it look more shinier, better looking, certain things that you can add to it like blur and other stuff. Your video sequence editor, which is basically your video editing tool, which is kind of like Adobe Premiere Pro. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same, but what I mean is there's certain what you can do in it is no different to or similar to what you can do in things like Premiere Pro or Windows Movie Maker and other software like Sony Vegas Pro or even Final Cut Pro. But that's where you can edit your videos. You got your movie clip, which is for motion tracking, which is handy, especially if you've got like a CGI character and you want or a certain kind of thing that you created, like for matte painting. You can set your scene up that can use live footage, and you can just track like CGI to it. So the CGI follows a certain pathway through your video or anything like that. You got your UV and image editor, which we will go through in another video when we start discussing about texture. You got your layers, which I won't go through here. You got your dope sheet, which we will look at another time. That is more important for I say that is more important for your animations for the Blender game engine more so than with actual animations, but we will look at that at another time. The one we're looking for is your graph editor. So if I click on here, as you can see, we've got this middle mouse button to move around, just like if you were in your other scene. Well, basically what we got here is we can select each part of our thing. And remember, this is the middle section, right? What I can do is, if I hold down the left mouse button in this scene, doesn't matter where I move that actual centerpiece, I can just move it across like so. But if I click these points, I can move it all. If I just press the G key, I can move it. So I can move that over there, or I can move that over there. You don't want to move it. This allows me to change how it actually moves, so I can have it go lower, which means it's more further away. Which means that it will go to the 100 point a lot faster than normal, whereas that one makes it there a lot slower. Or faster. Either way, it depends on how you want to edit it. Or you can select this point, which allows me to decide each section how I so choose. Which is good because that allows me to create these weird wonky shapes. But another thing that we can look at here is the channel and keys. So first we're going to click on key here, and then we're going to, and this allows me to change this to how I want it to be. At the moment it's, you know, slows down at the end. Now we call this slide in, slide out, which means that it's slow or slow in, slow out. It kind of like if you had something like a ball on a, or like one of those stretchy strings. If you move it too fast to one direction, you get the elastic pull on that ball, which means that when it reaches the end of its point, it starts slowing down before it shoots back. That's kind of what this is showing here, but you can change it to do how you want it to do. We can also change it to other things. For example, interpolation, which at the moment is generally on Bezier, which is what we're already on, or Bezier, however you want to pronounce it. Other ones we can go on is linear, but we had to select the whole thing first before we can change it. So if I click here and then go on linear, as you can see now on the graph editor, it has changed. Now, what linear does, it maintains the velocity or the speed regardless on the points. So instead of it being curved, because of the curve, it means that it's more it slows down at certain points, like at each point, or keyframe should I say. Whereas in linear, it keeps the velocity or the speed of your object regardless on the keyframes. I'm going to change that back to Bezier. And for when it comes to the linear stuff, or the linear, that is more suitable for something like a car wheel turning, or a helicopter blades rotating, or anything like that, because it's maintaining the speed once it reaches a certain speed. Anyways, I believe that I have reached the end of our YouTube part of this segment. of Blender with Luke. For those who are on YouTube, what you have learned is that you know a bit of an understanding on the graph editor, as well as a bit of animation. If you want to watch the full tutorial or the full segment, you can go to our website, which we have linked right now. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next YouTube segment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, you can always hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you want to watch the full videos, you can go to our website, which is linked below. Thank you for watching.